I am a very modest person. I always cover up. So today, no, today we're gonna talk about modesty, and I am actually a very modest person, but I do love to show off. And we are going to talk about modesty, but not in the way you might think. I'm going to ask Jay some questions because I was inspired by a beautiful Christian modest woman who posted about being a bikini model, and she was torn apart by the haters in her comments, calling her a slut. They slut shamed her and made her feel awful about something that's very loving and beautiful. So, Jay, like usual, I would like to define some stuff because according to a lot of the comments that I read from that poor girl's post, people don't really understand what modesty is. They're confusing it with values and morals. So can you please define and explain what it really is?
Yeah, so I'm just going to define it how most people use it, right? Like, I think it had some original definition, but society doesn't use it that way. Like, society has a common usage. And so what most people mean when they say modest in our society and in our culture is covered up. That's what they mean. If they say modest, they mean covered up. Sometimes they mean situationally appropriate or situationally decent, but that usually just translates into covered up.
Yes.
Like at the beach, everyone's wearing bathing suits, but if one's wearing a one piece and the other's wearing a two piece and the other's wearing a bikini and the other's wearing a micro bikini, one of them will get called immodest and the other one will be called modest. So when people say modest, what do they really mean? Well, they just mean covered up. It's like you're all in bathing suits. Yeah, but the one who's less covered is immodest.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Right. So this is what people mean in our society when they say modest. And I bet you every commenter there, that's basically what they're talking about. 90% of them.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it was. They called her immodest for showing flesh,
right?
Showing skin.
Right. So the definition of the word, I don't know, you can look it up. But if you're talking to anybody, they almost certainly mean covered up.
Okay. So it's interesting because they use the word modest in conjunction with immoral, right? And so to these people in the comment section, they're talking about how she is immoral and she's going to hell and she's a giant slut, and she's not. She's a Christian woman. I think she's married. And she's in a committed and loving relationship. And I've been called this too for showing cleavage. And I'm actually quite modest in my dress in comparison to other people with my traits. And so why are they confusing? Why are they putting these things together?
Because again, in our society, most people, when they say modest, they relate it to dignity or decency or morality or virtue or some kind of other thing. And so even if they don't mean covered up, they might mean displaying form or form fitting.
Right.
Because even displaying the feminine form can be, so maybe covered up wasn't the best definition, but it's something to do with downplaying appearance, the opposite of showing off, basically.
Right. Yeah.
This is what people mean when they say modesty, the opposite of showing off. And so most people in our society associate showing off or showing skin or showing your form or showing your body with some kind of evil, devilish immorality or lack of virtue or lack of dignity or something. I'm not saying that's true, like that's how it is or they're correct, but I'm just saying if you're talking to somebody and they're talking about modesty, in their head and their heart, they're probably thinking, well, if that person's not as modest as I like, they're bad. They're evil. They're immoral. They have a lack of decency, a lack of dignity. That's how people relate it. They don't come out and say it. They won't always say, I see you as immodest and I see you as evil. But on the internet with trolls, they very well might. They might just own it, right? Because they're anonymous. So there's no backlash.
Yeah, I saw that in a lot of the comments too, actually. The people with accounts with no photos and, accounts just to troll, And so in the comment section, a lot of people were talking about her values, making assumptions of this. And so I've had that happen to me before. I was sitting across the table with a family member and I was wearing nothing scandalous. I have some clothes that are more obvious than others. It was something that I felt comfortable wearing with family. And he said to me that I should be more modest. But what he meant was I made him uncomfortable because he was across from me and he couldn't stop looking at my boobs. So he tried to shame me for his lack of control.
Mhm.
And I find it quite interesting how a lot of people want to shame these women who dress. I don't even think a lot of them are dressing like in a show-offy way. I'm not. I call it showing off, but it's not really. I'm just wearing clothes,
Well, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a different definition of modesty. They all have their own line of what's okay and what's acceptable and what's appropriate. And then they all have their line where if you cross it, they start judging you and shaming you and hating on you and assessing your value poorly and so on. So like your family member thinks one thing and I think another thing, and the dude down the street thinks another thing, and your mom thinks another thing, and your best friend thinks another thing. It's like, I don't know. The whole discussion is just funny to me.
Well, you couldn't be more right, because every person that you just named, I know their opinions on this. And I actually took a little mini poll around the house to see what people think, because we have here a lot of different age and you are 100% right. It's night and day what people think here, at least, what's modest, and also it ties into people pleasing as well. And so I thought that was interesting that online in the comments and in my own family, there was a lot of people pleasing around their opinions. Right. But I guess if that's who you are, a people pleaser, it kind of leaks into everything in your life. And it was more about, like, for one person, it was, what are the neighbors going to think about someone coming out of this house dressed like that? Another person's opinion was, I can do what I want. It's my body. If you don't like it, don't look. Right. And so I'm curious, since we all have opinions and you haven't really said, you have a really amazing perspective on sexuality and sexiness and modesty and all that. So I would love to know what you think about women covering up and being modest. Your take on purity and sexiness, please.
Sure. So do you believe the universe and nature and earth and humanity are miraculous creations?
Yes.
Like, just incredibly valuable things.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So I do too. And that's where my perspective starts, because every creation or everything in existence has properties, characteristics, traits.
Right.
And those traits are part of their nature. And presumably those traits make them valuable. Like they have natural value because of who they are, how they are, like how they exist. Gold is useful for something. Charcoal is useful for something. Gold looks a certain way. Charcoal looks a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Roses are great. Daisies are great. They have different looks. They have different traits. So to me, humanity is a miracle and every human is a miracle, like just incredible creation with a lot of innate value. And a lot of that value is held in the traits they come along with, the properties. And so generally the value of a masculine form is stored in the traits of competence and skill and manual dexterity and ability to create masterpieces and stuff like that, like build things. And it's a very functional kind of value stored in a lot of functional based traits.
Yeah.
It's not super common to assess the value of a masculine form and reach the conclusion like this masculine form is amazing because of its appearance. That's not the main trait for a masculine form. Now, at least in our culture and at least in our current society, this is how value is generally perceived. Maybe back in ancient Greek times or Michelangelo Renaissance times or whatever, maybe the male form was super valued.
I mean, I saw some amazing photos this morning of your male form that were incredible and amazing, that I won't even lie, that I cannot stop thinking about. But yeah, you are correct. It's not the first thing I think about when it comes to you or most men is not the way they look.
Right. And similarly, a feminine leaning form, a lot of the value, not all of it, but a lot of the value of that thing or that existence or that being or that creation or whatever you call it is stored in traits of appearance. Mm-hmm. Or radiance or emotionality or something, but often presentation of some kind.
Yeah.
There's an entire fashion industry worth billions built around presenting that form in even more valuable ways. It's made to mine the value from those traits.
Yes, that's true.
Right. And there's a construction industry or a tech industry which are made to mine the value from that masculine work ethic, that masculine form, that masculine competence or whatever.
Yes.
Sure. These entire industries grew up around those traits, because those traits were obviously valuable to anyone with eyes, anyone with a brain.
True. Yes.
Right. Because the universe has lots of different substances and lots of different creatures and lots of different creations, and they all have valuable traits that make them them.
Yeah, they do.
Right. Now, we're all free to ignore those valuable traits, or we're free to capitalize on them and leverage them and raise them up and improve them and elevate them, right?
Yes. Jay's camera is having some technical difficulties, but his beautiful avatar photo is here for us, and we have his voice. So let's keep going.
So my perspective is that every individual is hopefully aiming to leverage and elevate the value of their traits as much as possible in a healthy way that feels good and loving to them. And that is going to be different for every individual.
True.
Porn stars, models, escorts, actresses, singers, and so on, who are performing in the public eye, are going to have a much different way to uplift and elevate and leverage their universe-given value than a religious teacher.
True. Very true.
Or a school teacher.
Yes.
And that's fine. But maybe a soul comes to earth and wants to show a new way and wants to be the first scandalous religious teacher or the first bikini-clad school teacher or something. And they rock the boat and they upset the world and they start a new tribe of people who are into that, and they create their own community or culture, some other place or something. And like, I'm not going to stop them from paving the way or doing that if that's what they want to do. I champion every individual's path in life. And I do my best not to judge it.
You are so good at that, by the way.
Thank you. It doesn't mean I always want it around me. It doesn't mean that I would go join their new tribe of bikini-clad school teachers, but I'm not here to judge it. There are cultures all across the globe that live and breathe the human body. Like, they celebrate nudity all day long. Yeah. There are the Sentinelese tribe, and they're pretty isolated, and they don't really let people come and check them out, but there's been some documentaries, and they celebrate nudity, all of them, like the whole tribe. It's just what they do.
They do indeed, yes.
Yeah. You going to change that? You going to go tell them they're immodest, they're immoral, they're undignified? How dare they? They don't know how to live. We got to teach them how to live. They're in harmony with nature. They think animals are nude and humans are nude. So be it. They think clothing is stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, whatever. There's the Surma tribe in Ethiopia. Similar things.
Well, I think it was really interesting. Another thing that I noticed about the comment section was Americans were the most judgmental. Somebody, I think it was Gia McCool, who commented about there are other cultures out there that for them this is very modest, and who are you to say that this is immodest or modest, because in their culture it is. For you it's not. And the dude was like adamant, no, this is not right. I don't care. Maybe I'm too American, which really made me laugh.
Sure, but it happens in America too.
Of course,
there's nudist cultures and nudist communities in America.
Yes, yeah.
You're gonna burn them all?
No.
You're gonna hate on them all?
Right. You can't.
You're gonna call them evil human beings? They're out there trying to ruin the world. How dare they? No, they just see the value of the human body, and they understand that showing it off is one way to leverage that value. Just like my masculine inclination to build things or create empires or work hard or whatever you call it, work under difficult conditions or hyper focus or build whatever trait you happen to see as valuable in me, I can downplay it or I can upplay it. I can use it all the time, everywhere, or I can be more reserved about it. I can pick and choose my spots, or I can bring it all the time. Like, there's no one out there calling me immodest because I've overused my gift of intellect, or I've overused my gift of commerce, or I've overused my gift of building.
That's a really interesting point, because you might be called arrogant or cocky,
sure,
because of those things, but you will never be called immodest for showing off the thing that's a natural trait for you.
No, but if I say I'm smart, if I say I'm a smart man and I have if I have wise perspectives and wise views, and y'all should listen to me because I bring a lot of value, they're going to call me arrogant and cocky.
Yep.
They're going to label me all kinds of things. Delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
If I get popular enough, they'll start calling me a dictator, even if I'm just like using my gifts. Like, who knows, right?
So do you think it's more of people being like projecting unhappiness onto other people who use their gifts? Because so I'm not like super hot or anything, not yet, but like I went to Walmart the other night and it's just Walmart and I had on a tank top and like a matching outfit. It was cute and whatever. I wasn't like trying to go out. I didn't even look as cute as I look now. And I got such stares from women that were coupled, right? I wasn't looking at their man. I would usually look at a woman when I see them in a couple, right? I look at her outfit, whatever. And same. And so I'm getting these dirty looks. And at the time I would thought, like, I'm not even looking at your man, dude. I'm looking at you. But now that we're having this conversation, it makes me wonder that the reason that I get those looks from some women is because I'm not downplaying the thing I like about myself, the thing that I find beautiful about myself. And it bothers them because they are. So if you're calling yourself a genius, and people call you arrogant because they feel bad about themselves because they're not like that and they want to be. Maybe that's why for women anyway, for me, that's why they do it too.
I mean, sure, why not? Like all across the planet, if you turn up your gifts and shine, you're going to get haters and jealousy and people labeling you. I don't care what your gift is.
Yeah, but I guess I never tied these two things together because I've thought about it like the genius thing and your like your gift, your particular gifts, and now people would call you these things, but I never connected it to this, like right, modesty or anything or that.
Well, people want me to be modest with my intellect. They don't want me to throw it in their face. They don't want me to show it off. They want me to be super humble and pretend like I'm not.
They want you to
that talented. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, this is so good. I love it. All right. So for the masculine, yeah, the modesty comes in a different form, but it still comes. Even though like the guys that like Andrew Tate and stuff, when people start hating on them because they start becoming successful and becoming more arrogant and dressing better and like being jerky, you know. But not that you are in any way. I don't know why I use that as a comparison. So
there's a time and a place. No, it's a good comparison. Okay. Because he's an example of what happens when you turn up your gifts so much and stop caring about the society you live in so much that now you're not showing off. You're just sort of rubbing people's faces in your gift.
Yeah.
And so this is like, that's kind of a valid time to suggest someone be modest. Like, hey, Tate, maybe pull it back a little bit, dude. You live in a society with other human beings.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell him that. And I understand his path and I don't judge it. I'm just saying with everything in life, with every society, you can go overboard. So maybe nudists are fine. Nudists are celebrating life and nature and the human body, and they're unashamed and they understand that the universe created these bodies, and just like animals, it's all beautiful and it's all fine. And they don't have all this weird shame and sexual repression and all this guilt and crazy like negative vibes about it. They're just chill and they have their news community. Fine. But if they start going and throwing that in the face of like a repressed American Victorian town, there's going to be a lot of discord and pain and suffering and backlash and combat and war, and people will fight each other and no one's going to like it, because it's one thing to uplift and elevate your gift and turn it up and turn up the nudity because you're all about that. Great. It's another thing to rub it in people's faces who aren't ready for it or receptive to it. If you go join a tribe or a community and try to do that, you deserve what you get, because this is not a healthy, loving use of your gift. Now, it doesn't mean you go around people pleasing everybody. You find your own line, but deep down, everyone can tell, like, I have pushed this tribe too far.
Yeah. So like if the nudist were to go into Walmart,
right,
I did the other day,
and they would know I'm pushing this tribe too far.
Right.
But if the nudist just stays on the outskirts of town and has their own little community and, you know, covers up a little bit to pop to the corner store or something, like, that's a good use of their gifts. They're nude like 23 hours of the day, and for their hour trip into town, they cover up a little bit. It's like they're cooperating with the tribe and they're living in harmony and they're using their gifts as well as they can without rubbing someone's face in it. But it's not something other people should be deciding. You should decide in your heart. You know when you're rubbing someone's face in the gift. Like,
yes.
If
know that.
If Andrew Tate knows he's being obnoxious and like being intentionally disruptive and disharmonious with the tribe he's in, with the people he's talking to, that's on him. That's his conscience. And he, like, there's karma for that. But if he's just being himself and he's like, no, like, I'm honestly, truly, there's love in my heart. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I really just am this confident and I really do want to own my gifts. And, you know, I'm sorry if you guys took it the wrong way, but I really, truly, sincerely am just trying to show you guys how to be confident. Like, if he's doing that, then he's using his gift fine, and everyone's welcome to hate as much as they want. Like, he doesn't need to change. But there's something inside that tells you, am I being my authentic self with my gift, or am I rubbing people's faces in it like a cake? And the same goes for bikini models. It's fine to go be a bikini model, and maybe your true gift is to strut around like that all day, like in society. It's not breaking laws, you know. Maybe that's fine. Maybe you even wear a bikini to a funeral or a wedding to make a statement. And that's like really what feels authentic to you. If it is, if true, I'm not going to hate. Like, it's pushing society's boundaries and it's going to ruffle some feathers, but maybe it's helping evolve society and evolve the tribe. And like, I won't judge. But if you go to that wedding or that funeral in the bikini and secretly deep down, you know, it's just better not to, and it will be healthier not to, and I will keep the harmony. And it's just time to turn my gift off a little bit, like turn it down a little bit and turn down my beauty a little bit for this time and this situation and these people. And to keep the health of myself and the tribe I'm in, I'm going to do the loving thing and, you know, show my gifts a different way this time. And then you still go and do the bikini thing? Help you. Like, what the hell? Then you're rubbing it in people's faces and you're turning up your gift at the wrong time. And that's on you. And that's on your conscience. And so this is what I meant in the beginning. Every creature has traits, and those traits have value. And hopefully we're all aiming to turn up our value as much as possible and leverage those traits as much as possible. But it's individual for everyone. There's a time and a place for every gift. And it's not up to the tribe to decide it. It's up to you to decide it. And everyone has a conscience, a heart, or something telling them when they're doing this correctly or not. And there's karma, like bad things will happen to you if you misuse your gifts.
True. Very, very true. I love your take on this. I love your perspective. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talking about modesty in this way. I don't think anybody has ever thought about it in this way. You come from a devout Christian family who I'm pretty sure was pretty modest and taught you to be that way as well.
Yeah, they did.
And so for you to have a girlfriend like me with giant boobs who likes to show her boobs off, it's really funny. And so the first time that the first time I went alone to your parents' house, I was really like worried. I didn't want to dress my normal way. I was like wanting to repress myself and like cover up. And you were like, you can't do that. Do what feels best. Don't do it for them. Do it, wear what you want, that you feel, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I still was able to find a way to feel like I was covered up and being respectful to their beliefs and values and traditions, but still being who I am.
Yeah, there's tons of models and porn stars who have to do that every day.
So I have a question though. So this is shame like that I felt, right? When I was going to go over there, because I was ashamed that I even had to decide what to do. Like, it sounds so silly, but not really decide what to do, was that like, that I'm hiding part of who I am, and I should be ashamed because I have big boobs, and you don't like that, and I respect you because you're my partner's parents. Yeah. And so religion teaches us to be ashamed and to cover up. And a lot of those comments were talking about religious stuff and the Bible and God and whatever. But God is love, yes?
Yes.
Right. And isn't there supposed to be no shame in love?
Yeah, that's like Jesus hung around with hookers and prostitutes and harlots and stuff.
Right.
Dude had no problem with immodesty.
Yeah.
Dude had Mary Magdalene, and he probably had more women followers than guy followers. I mean, magically somehow not a single woman follower was mentioned in the Bible, or like, of
course not,
a handful of them or something.
And then
let's be honest. But let's be honest. Who gossiped about Jesus? Who spread the word about Jesus? Who told every friend they knew about Jesus? Who brought everybody to Jesus? Like, come on, man.
The chicks did it. The guys were too busy with Jesus to go around and network and socialize. That was the women's job. So yeah, I know they were marketing him.
Well, either way, my point is he had no problem with women or the female form or immodesty or whatever you call it. I'd bet anything on it. Like,
I agree.
I believe the people who authored the Bible 300 years later had a problem with women's form and modesty and sexuality and so on. But I don't think Jesus did. Love thy neighbor as thy love thyself, as thy love thy God. Like, the vibration of love and the frequency of love is pure bliss. It's pure light. It's pure energy. There's no judgment in love. Like, it's not sitting around judging things. Love knows we're all one. Love knows every human has a role and plays a part. Love knows the porn star has a role, and the bikini model has a role, and the school teacher has a role, and the Mormon has a role, and the pastor has a role, and all of these people have roles, and they're all part of the divine plan. And there's no point running around judging them all and picking at them and hating on them and judging them and pointing fingers and shaming them and guilting them. Shaming and guilting people is not a loving thing to do, ever.
It's true.
So,
but also that these people who claim their reasoning is God in the Bible, but God in the Bible says that we're not supposed to judge, that it's his place to judge. So I didn't say anything. I didn't want to throw myself into all that and spend time answering people and saying anything. But I really am genuinely curious. If you are such a Bible lover and such a Jesus lover and really religious, how can you judge other people when God clearly says you're not supposed to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine question. You just have to be careful not to judge those people who are judging.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. Yeah. There's judgment that crept in my voice for sure.
Right. And the judges have a role too. So the judges have a role too. So let the judges be judges.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with them. We don't blame them. We don't hate them. You might want to stay away from them or block them, but
right.
Maybe it's a phase in their life. Maybe they had a bad day. I don't know. Maybe they got traumatized as a kid. Maybe they're sexually repressed too, and they really want to show it. And this is how it comes out. The shadow self and Carl Jung and all this stuff. I don't know. I don't judge them. But
see, you're so loving and kind.
Thank you. I just know that I'd rather talk to other kinds of people. That's all.
Fair enough. That's totally fair play. Okay. Right. So then what does modesty, or how does modesty tie into business and mental health?
That is a great question.
Thank you.
So as I said in the beginning, there is form and function, right? Some traits lean more towards form and some traits lean more towards function, but both have value. And you know this because if you've ever been given a plate of food, when someone flops it onto a styrofoam plate from a giant cauldron and spills it everywhere and gets it on your dress and your hands, the food is okay. It's good. It's nice. I mean, whatever. But having someone lovingly present it and craft it and put a bow on it and drizzle some syrup around the plate and whatever, like when you eat that dessert or that food, even if it's the same food, maybe it's the same stew or whatever, the plating and the presentation makes a giant difference. And
it really does. I'm not eating some slop thrown on a styrofoam plate splattered everywhere. Yeah.
And scientists have tested this. Like they did a study with wine bottles. It's the same wine in 3 different fancy bottles with 3 different price tags and all these kind of different things. And, all of the people who drank it, or 90% of them, some high percentage of them, preferred the taste of the wine in the fancy bottle with the fancy price tag.
Right.
It's like, hello, form is hugely valuable. People say don't judge a book by a cover, but do you know how much people pay to get a good book cover done?
True. And you put the most time into that. That's what people see first.
Yeah. And they reprint it with different covers and test new covers. And why are they doing this? Because they know damn well everyone's judging the book by its cover. Hello?
Of course.
Right. Yeah. And that's fine. Because how else do you navigate 3D space? You move towards the beautiful sunset or the bright fruit on the tree or the flower, and you avoid the dark pit of spikes or the growling wolf or whatever. Like, of course, appearance matters. We've based our whole DNA on this. We've evolved to be sensitive to the appearance of things. I don't know who came up with this thing that appearance shouldn't matter, or it's not important, or it's not valuable, or whatever, right? It's some weird kind of patriarchal thing where like only function matters and efficiency matters and usefulness matters and tools matter. Appearance and presentation and decoration are not valuable, and you should never care about them and never pay attention to them. Only ideas matter. A good person would be loving a book because of its ideas, not because of the awesome cover someone made. Like, no, of course you should love it for the awesome cover someone made. That's what got your attention.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it matters. And the feminine form is great at getting attention. And you need attention before you can educate or uplift or help anyone. So all that awesome ideas you want to give to people, all that education you want to give to people, get a hot chick to go bring people on board first. Make a good cover for your book and people will actually read it. Make a clickbait headline that catches people's attention and then they'll read your article. You don't think presentation matters and headlines matter? You're clicking on them all day long. If the idea isn't packaged properly, you're out. If the idea is packaged beautifully, you're clicking.
Fair play.
Yeah. So
that makes a lot of sense, because we as a society want to say appearance doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like, but it does. It very much does.
Yeah.
But we're still hiding it and pretending like, no, your fatness and your ugliness and your whateverness that you hate about yourself, we're going to let you like pretend it doesn't matter, when it so much does.
Yeah, and the universe knows it. The universe is beautiful. Stars are beautiful. Galaxies are beautiful. There's spirals everywhere, light everywhere. If you look at, if we had a sun and it provided all the same light and chlorophyll and help and whatever, like if it kept everything alive, but it just looked like a giant lump of poo, like brown rock. So it did everything the sun did, but it's just a brown rock.
Ew.
Okay?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody loving that. No one's worshiping that. No one's celebrating that. Like, they'll take it for granted and not pay attention to it. And the appearance matters.
No one will be sending their yoni against that. That's for sure.
I mean, they might because it feels good or something, but it's not the same.
No.
It's like the food served in a poor manner. It's just not the same. And there's a ton of value to a beautiful appearance. And you can tell if you've ever owned a pet.
Yeah.
Because the beautiful puppy dog eyes, or that nice like kitten fur, or that look of that animal or that creature, if it's beautiful, you're all about it. And what's the last one picked at the kennel?
No, the little ugly one with like half a foot missing.
Right. And people want to get mad about that. They're like, everyone who chose the nice puppy, you're bad people.
Yeah.
But you're not bad people. Of course you should have chose the nice puppy. Why would any human walk in there and be like, yo, that ugly lump of rock, son, I want that. Or that like terrible, brutalized like animal, like I want that. Like they're trying to make their life better. They're trying to bring joy and light into their life. They're trying to bring beauty into their life. And there will be someone's calling. There'll be someone's purpose to go and adopt the neglected animal.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I love that. And I'm happy for them. But like 99% of people are going to pick the beautiful one. And why would you fight that? And why would you argue with that? And why would you act like that's not true? And why would you act like evolution should never have gone this way? The universe knows beauty is value. And you should be using it and leveraging it and making peace with it and stop nitpicking it.
I think it's people pleasing again. I think it comes back to that, because people say, I don't care about appearance, because they care what other people think about them. Because if they were honest and said, I care very much about the appearance of this book or my house, well, actually, that's okay. It's okay to say I care about the appearance of my house, but it's not okay to say I care about the appearance of my partner.
Spouse.
Yeah. It's not okay that I care about their weight, or I care about how, the way they look in that outfit or whatever.
But I do care.
They do care. So they hide it because of people pleasing, because they don't want to be shamed or feel bad because they're honest. And even if they say it in a kind way, they're not saying, God, you look fat. No, there's other outfits that you look really great in and that may suit your figure a bit more. Like, that's a really loving way to see it. And if you say that to me, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well, like what? And I'd be open to your opinion, but then it did take me time to learn to be like that, because I was a people pleaser like everyone else too. So
yeah,
well, you are amazing. Oh, and you were talking about like books with beautiful covers, and I think you meant like this one.
I mean, that is beautiful.
It's called Eyes Wide Open Volume 1, and inside are amazing concepts and ideas.
With beautiful pictures.
With gorgeous photos. Amazing art that Jay made himself. And he is not modest at all. And I'm not modest, because this book will change your life. See, not being modest. It's just true.
Fact.
Greatest book ever.
I agree.
Go get it now. And it's yours for free. Just go sign up at eyeswideopenfree.com. And you will get this and a bonus called How to Cure the 7 Deadly Mental Traumas. And it's free right in your inbox. And then you also get Jay and Cyn 3 times a week in your inbox, because we're awesome and we love you. And no, I'm not being modest about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, there is a whole religion of people who love being modest, and that's part of who they are in the religion. And the way that they show off their modesty is pretty impressive to me, actually. So the Muslims who wear hijabs and burkas and cover themselves and still are able to express their femininity in that way. Do you think that they're a part of this whole thing because it's a religion thing for them? Like,
Sure.
I'm not sure the question I want to ask. I just know that I'm very curious about them in relation to sexuality and modesty.
Sure. They're basically the opposite of the nudists.
Fair enough. Yes. Yeah.
The nudists believe the human body is natural. Clothes should basically never have been invented. They're not really necessary, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know if you're talking about Muslim or Islam or I don't know enough about the terminology and the lingo. For example, I'm pretty sure a hijab is the head scarf, head covering, and the burqa is the full body, veil, everything.
Yes,
but
that's correct.
Right. But I'm just going to discuss the philosophical and religious concepts rather than the language details because I'm going to get them wrong. So I'll just refer to it as the religion of Islam for sake of example. And if I'm wrong, people can yell at me.
Okay.
So in Islam, they see the human body as sacred and special and private and to be reserved for only the most worthy or whatever, right? I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly their religion, but I know it's the opposite of the nudists.
Right.
And the nudists see being feminine and being ladylike as owning your nature-given form.
Right.
And displaying that to anyone and everyone whenever you feel like it, or all the time, or whatever. And Islam believes that you were given this precious form, and because it's such a precious form, it should be locked up in a vault and very carefully and rarely revealed. Right? You see the two different approaches to it.
Right.
They both think they know what being ladylike is. They both think they know the moral way to be feminine. They both think they know the virtuous approach to the female form.
Right.
Are they both right? Can they both be right?
They can both. Two things can be right at the same time. Yes. Yes. They can both be right.
Can they both be right in the same city or village?
Yeah, that's possible.
Really? You don't think if I put 100 members of Islam in a village with 100 nudists, it wouldn't start fights and wars and violence and constant arguing and disharmony?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I misunderstood the question.
So would they both be right in the same village?
No, it might not be a great idea.
It's definitely a bad idea, but it was a trick question because rightness is a silly concept.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Because yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
So then to answer your question, because it is a trick question, and so this is why I was had a hard time answering it. You little demon, giving me trick questions. Because right and wrong this is the story concept, really. So is it possible for them to get along and live together in peace and harmony? It's possible. Will they? Probably not.
Yeah, that's why it's better that one lives over in the Middle East and the other lives in Oregon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. That makes total sense.
Sure.
Okay.
But it's a giant earth. They've both found their place. It's okay. Nature makes room for all. Right and wrong is just judgment. It's just judginess. Anytime we're talking about right and wrong, you're talking about judgment and judginess.
No.
And love. And
say that
love,
again, please.
Anytime you're talking about right and wrong, it's just pure judginess. You are judging. And love, pure love, divine love, does not judge. Divine love allows for all living things. Divine love allows for the entire universe. Divine love is fine with black holes. It's fine with meteor showers. It's fine with extinct dinosaurs. It's fine with human evolution. It's fine with empires. It's fine with everything. Divine love does not judge. Divine love has no right and wrong. Judgment is not part of divine love. So
that was beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Anytime you're talking about right and wrong, or if I'm asking you what's right and wrong, you can be sure it's a trick.
Okay.
Because there is no right and wrong with love. There is more loving and less loving, and that is an individual thing. So you can't say that's right and wrong. You have to say, was it more loving for that individual or less loving for that individual?
I like that. You're blowing my mind. I mean, I know these things and we've talked about it before, but I don't know if it's your energy or my energy, but it feels more impactful hearing you say it here.
Well, maybe you've come to a new realization about love recently, and so now you're more receptive to concepts that we've talked about previously. Or maybe I have.
Well, I definitely have opened up about love and realized as a feminine, this is what I am. And so,
but love is logical.
But that's the thing. Love is logical, but how can a feminine woman, I think that's a whole other topic, but whatever. Like being more open to love, though, is helping me understand some of these concepts that we've discussed before and that I understood and I was in agreement with, but I feel like I'm understanding them on a deeper level now during this conversation. So thank you.
Well, my pleasure. My point is both the nudists and the religion of Islam believe they understand what it means to be feminine and dignified and ladylike and believe they have a healthy approach to the female form.
Right.
But they would argue and fight incessantly if you put them in the same geographic location or the same culture or tribe or society for a long period of time.
They would. And the people who are born into that society who inherently are more open and loving and maybe not like nudists, but definitely maybe gay or just open-minded and more like us, they're like oppressed and feel awful until they're able to escape because they are alone and they have no tribe.
Yeah, they get caught in the middle.
Yeah.
But you can see what happens when you get that, because the burqa and the hijab have slowly evolved and become more westernized. And you can see people wearing business suits with a hijab or like a pantsuit or a skirt suit. And then you'll see like bikinis with a hijab. And it's like, wow, like what's happened? And this infuriates all of the old guard of Islam, like the traditional Quran believers and stuff. They don't want to see a bikini with a hijab. They're like, that you're defiling our religion.
Right.
But a lot of the new generation are like, actually, it's about time we started showing off. So who's right? Right? Right. We come back to rightness. It's like when all those older generations die, what's going to be left? Like, does it matter how passionate they are about burqas if the new generation is kind of done with them? Like, what's going to happen? And then will it cycle back 900 years later? Everyone's in a bikini and a hijab, and there's a big backlash. And then when it hits the millennium, it hits 1,000 years, they're all back to burqas, and it comes full circle. And the whole time they were all arguing for their way or the other way. And it's just like nuts, That's why it doesn't matter. You find what's loving for you. You make the most loving choice for you. If showing skin feels the most loving to you and authentic to you, you should do that, and you should find a tribe that's going to celebrate that, and maybe turn off your gift a little bit if you're trying to integrate with a different tribe, but do it intentionally and just find what's more loving for you. And if you prefer modesty and being covered up and keeping your body sacred and private for only super rare special occasions, that's fine too, right? There are some flowers that show themselves to everybody like year round. And there are other flowers that bloom for only a tiny short time in a small window in a secret remote location that only like 2 people get to see. Doesn't mean either flower is bad or wrong, or they don't know how to be a flower properly. It just means they each have their own individual authentic expression of form, of physical appearance, of blooming, of blossoming, and of value. And so they know they have value in these ways, these traits in their form, and they also know the authentic way to express that value and be their natural flower selves. Same goes for every woman, like every feminine leaning person, or even a masculine leaning person who wants to experiment with their femininity. Like, I don't care. The point is there's an individual authentic expression for you, and the more you align with it, the better your life's going to be. And to align with it, you have to tune into yourself, not so much the tribe.
So when you ask me later, what's my favorite part, all that stuff you just said, I will not be able to repeat it or articulate it, but that whole thing you said, I absolutely loved. I loved the energy. I love what you're saying. The fact that you are saying that we are all flowers. I loved the analogy, because my parents have a tree or a bush here at their house. It's called the night blooming jasmine, and you don't see it during the day. It just looks like a little green bush. At night, it's gorgeous. It just blows all these beautiful flowers, and it smells so fragrant. And so that was what I thought of when you were making that analogy. And I thought that was me. Like, I could, during the day, I would hide who I was from everyone else. And at night, when I was with my friends or other people, then I could express who I really was. So, and going back to the being caught in the middle, of you're born into this one way, but you're really secretly another. And so I felt like that a lot growing up, and with wanting to be one way, but being told how horrible and what a horror I was for even liking that, and how dare I, and why not be modest, and I should be modest, and yes, you are one of the sexiest races in the world, but cover up. Don't let anyone know that you're sexual or sexy in any way, shape, or form. But that's not what I want deep down inside. I enjoy showing off and feeling pretty and looking pretty and decorating, and just like you were saying. And so I had to find a balance for me, because there are things that I find that I don't want to show off, and I'm modest. I don't like to curse. I blush when people talk directly to me about sex, but you wouldn't guess that by looking at my appearance. So yeah, I just really liked all that stuff you just said. I totally resonated with all of it. I think every woman needs that clip where you talk about the flowers and how we all are, like, we have to find the balance for ourselves, because we all are beautiful and whatever. I think I need to take that clip and just give it to every woman in the world. Not even every woman I know, every woman in the entire world, me and man, actually. So the whole world. So I need to get on it and market it, because I'm going to need that clip to share with you. I love you.
Thank you. I poured a lot of love into that perspective. I believe it's the best take on beauty and modesty around that I've ever encountered. And I'm honored and feel blessed that it came through my mouth. And you can take it further, because maybe your authentic expression is a night blooming jasmine, and you only blossom at nighttime, and you keep your beauty bottled up the rest of the time, or whatever. But maybe you got bullied into being a night blooming jasmine, and you're actually a rose, and you're actually the most beautiful, like, popular flower. Like, you're the Valentine's flower, and everybody's always fiending for you and loving it and whatever. And so someone like this might be a Hollywood actress or something in our society. Like, right. The rose of our society might be a Hollywood actress, because she's just beautiful all the time. She has a team of people always making sure she's beautiful, tending to her, caring for her. And whenever she goes out in public, like, it's almost never sweats or whatever. It's pure decoration and beauty. And she seems constantly in bloom, or something like this, right? She's like some kind of eternal, perennial rose or something.
Right.
If that's you, and you know that's you, and you're like, yep, that's what I'm on earth to be, and you go act like a night blooming jasmine, you're going to feel inauthentic and repressed, and you're going to feel terrible. But in another culture, if you were born into the Middle East or something, Saudi Arabia, maybe their version of a rose is like a black rose, a covered rose, a painted rose, a rose under glass or something.
Right.
And so whoever's the most covered up then is the rose. Like, if you want to thrive and blossom in that culture, maybe you don't show off at all. You're the most modest woman. And then you have to use other traits to convey your value. You don't really get to use physical appearance or the book cover to exude your value or express your value. You have to do it in the way you carry yourself, like a feminine walk, or head held high or something, or the grace in your voice or your tone of voice, or the radiance of your emotions, or something like this. And so because they de-emphasize appearance so much, it's more like a field of black roses, and nobody has any like real different in appearance, and they have to stand out by how high the flower grows, how tall it stands tall, or
they definitely find ways to stand out. I don't know if you probably haven't seen Sex in the City 2, the movie. I have, and they go to Dubai, the movie, right? And so they show a lot of women in burkas and in the hijab, right? And so they make a point in the movie to discuss the embroidery. These women like put jewels and embroidery on the edges of their hijab, and
so decoration.
They still find ways to decorate.
Yeah.
And when they're not on the outside, their clothes underneath are like designer and really pretty.
Right. So decoration and fashion and so on. My point is, it's up to every individual to find what type of flower suits them and at what phase of life and in what part of the world or what culture.
Yes.
Are you a night blooming jasmine for real, or are you a rose? Like, are you meant to be a Hollywood actress kind of style? Are you meant to be a fashionista? What is your true nature? Are you meant to be a nudist in Oregon? Are you meant to bring nudist colonies to Utah or California or someplace that doesn't have them or something? Or are you meant to be the highly embroidered fashionista Islamic woman, right? Like,
right.
What suits you and when? And the more you tune into yourself, the more you'll find your authentic presentation of beauty, your authentic appearance. And it is valuable, and the universe gave it to you. And whether you're me or you or someone else, there is something that's going to resonate and fit with you and take you far in life, but it's up to you to find that balance. And sometimes you'll find a tribe that doesn't resonate with that. And you have to decide, am I going to turn down my gifts and my authentic expression to fit in with this tribe? Or am I going to go somewhere else where my real true self is celebrated day and night?
Yeah, that's true. That's beautiful. You're so good at this.
Thank you.
I can tell that this is I know everything you think through, but I can tell that you've thought about this for a long time.
Yeah, because I love beautiful women.
I know.
So much. I just want to be surrounded by beauty at all times.
I know you do.
So
I agree. I'm with you on that. I love beautiful things. I love beautiful people, men, women. Like, it doesn't matter. I love to look at beautiful things. So I'm totally on board. And that's the Libra in me, and the Libra in you, the cusp part of you, is how much you love beauty too. So
yeah, but I've thought it through like a Virgo.
Of course. Obsessively and precisely, and tracked all the data, literally, on the walls of your bedroom when you were a kid. So yep. Yes, I'm aware. And it was intimidating to me in the beginning, but now you see beauty in everyone and everything, and you see how you see my true form of how it is. And so I love you for that, and I appreciate you for that. And I appreciate this conversation. This was really good. I still have more questions though, so I don't know if you...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to come back to the business aspect of it, right?
Oh, I forgot to talk about that.
Well, we started to talk about it, and I think I asked you the question about the hijab, and
good bring back.
Thank you. So I wanted to know.
So can I start? Can I just jump in?
Oh, please.
So, because I was in the middle of talking about the business side of beauty, and yes. I was talking about judging a book by its cover. So a book is just one kind of consumable good, but people are judging everything by its cover. You're judging the staff you hire by how they interview and how they appear. You're judging the brands you buy by their profiles and their banners and their covers and their ads and their content and their presentation and their viral videos. You are judging everything, not in like a judgy way, but more in a resonance way, a preference way of discerning what to move towards and what to move away from for yourself. So
yes, and we do it on appearance.
Yeah, every consumer is doing this. I told you, we evolved to do this. So if my brand, if my banner on X.com or my banner on Twitter is poor in appearance or hard to read or sending the wrong message or uses words that don't fit with my target audience, they're going to bounce. I'm not going to get good traction. They're not going to like it. They're not going to follow. They're not going to resonate. They're going to be like, I don't know, whatever, this isn't for me. And they'll move on because they're discerning from my appearance whether my offerings will resonate with them or not. If I make a product and it has a landing page, the appearance of the landing page matters. And if I'm selling to a sort of conservative audience who doesn't like flashy things, I probably shouldn't have giant videos on my landing page and flashy things and hot people and all this kind of thing. I should just have text, some headlines, some bullet points. That's what they like. They like data. It depends who I'm targeting. If I'm targeting people in the beauty industry, fashion lovers and Libras, like you said, and visual people and artists, and then probably my landing page should look pretty good, or vice versa. Maybe not. Like maybe it's the opposite. But either way, I have to care about appearance. And if you don't care about appearance, you are asking to lose at business and sales.
Yeah. Fair
Presentation matters. The book cover matters. Your brand materials matter. Your color scheme matters. The language choice matters. Your clickbait headlines matter. Your elevator pitch matters. The thing that makes a first impression on people matters, right? Whatever your first impression is, whether it's your fashion or your look or your text or your titles or your headlines or your thumbnails or your Twitter banner, whatever it is, it's making a first impression on appearance and presentation. And it matters, man. And there's really no point in pretending or acting like it doesn't or whining about it or, oh, it shouldn't or something like this. It has mattered since caveman times when people would move towards the light and the fire and away from the dark predator animals. Well,
this is why YouTubers are obsessed with thumbnails.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the game. It's not just YouTube. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's on Instagram too.
True. Yeah. your image or your cover image or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you're on Reddit and you have crap headlines and crap titles, it makes a bad first impression. Then your marketing, your Reddit marketing will suffer. Presentation matters for business. Beauty matters for business, whether you think so or not. Even if you're some super masculine Wall Street broker or hedge fund manager or something, like they invest in great suits and great ties and cufflinks and whatever. Why? Why do they do this? Like the first impression matters. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich spent his last like $20 or $50 or something on a suit just to land an interview with the millionaire or like get the job or whatever. He did it to make a first impression, and he knew it was a worthwhile investment. When you're investing your last dollar in looking good, you better know what you're doing. Like that better be a good strategy. Like it better have an impact. And it did.
That's true.
Now, does that mean everyone should run out and spend their last dollar on looking good? No, there's a time and a place. But what it does mean is you should be more wise and strategic and intentional with your presentation and appearance in business, wherever it is.
Agreed. Like, it's not just about, like, we've talked about sexiness in business. It's like making your headline sexy, your photo sexy, or this sexy. And this is the same thing, like not being modest. You recently had a conversation with someone, I'm not going to call him out here on the podcast, but you recently had a conversation with somebody on X about humility.
Yep.
And so to me, it's the same thing as being modest. So what he was saying was, you can be a leader. To be a leader, you have to be modest. But you were saying, no, to be a leader, that like this isn't going to serve you to be modest. And I think this, like for every coach and everyone who's wants to hide who they are and toe the line and go with everyone else, these are the people who aren't successful. These are the people who, when we get them as a client, we're like, controversy and be yourself and like stand out and be different and get attention. And they're like, no. But their business usually will fail unless they pivot and do this. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but my gut feeling with that guy I was talking to is that he was raised in a conservative family or raised Christian, and someone quoted a ton of Bible verses at him by like old men from 300 years after Jesus' time, and and they all just said cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up, cover up.
Yeah.
Or he took some of the quotes about Jesus, like humbling himself and riding on a donkey or something. And suddenly that means to be humble. But Jesus, there's way more verses about I am God and I am the Son of God and I am living God and I'm the perfect being and you should all follow me and follow my lead. And if you believe in me, I'm the best and I'm the one, and screw those other guys. Like the whole Bible is just full of him being confident and arrogant and cocky and leading the way like a bold leader. It's like 5 times when he humbled himself in the entire thing. Like, it's like, yeah, sometimes maybe he humbled himself, but that was the rare exception, dude. If you want to follow in this guy's footsteps, you need to be a bold leader because that's what Jesus was.
True. Very, very true.
But I'm making a lot of assumptions. Maybe that wasn't the case for him, but that is the case for many people. It's very common. And it's why I played so small as a child or even as a young adult, because I thought humility and timidity and humbleness was like some kind of awesome virtue. And that, like, I thought that's what Jesus did all the time. It sounded like it. That's what everyone told me until I started digging deeper. And I'm like, nah, man, dude hung around with hookers, harlots. He had no problem. He would walk into leprosy villages. Like, this is not humble. This is boy AF. What the hell? He tipped over tables and called out all the Pharisees and the hypocrites and whatever. Like, this dude did not play small. He did not shut up. Dude was confident and cocky AF, walking around saying, I am God. I am living God. God is in me. I am in God, blah, blah, blah. And you are all gods too. So like when I started digging in, I'm like, what? Humbleness and humility isn't a virtue?
No, it's not. It's not.
Like the meek shall inherit the earth. It's like, yeah, they will when they step up and become leaders.
That's a really good, thank you for mentioning that, because this is something that I heard a lot as I was growing up. The meek shall inherit the earth. And to me, it always sounded like if I am humble and if I keep to myself and I am quiet and I hide who I am from the rest of the world, when I die, I will have all of my dreams come true. I will have everything. That's a bunch of crap. I don't know what that line actually means, but the description I gave is what I always thought it was. And so if I'm wrong, I don't know. But
no, everybody thinks it means be humble forever.
Right. But I learned
the original Greek word or Hebrew or whatever doesn't even mean that. Like, it means something different anyways. But even if it did mean meek, all it would mean is all of the meek people who are playing small have a major inheritance like waiting for them if they just step up and be Jesus level leaders. Like, just follow the man's footsteps and start owning your gifts and performing works like he did. Do more than he has done. Like, all the things I have done, you shall do and more. Like, step away from the meekness and you will inherit this stuff.
Well, for me personally, I found that out to be true.
Yeah, it is true. Just try it.
The further and further I step away from that, and the more I am who I really am and express myself the what feels comfortable and
so be beautiful. Turn up.
To me, the happier I am and the more I inherit, in quotes, from the earth. So yeah. So it makes a lot of sense how you tied this into business and
mental health too. Like, all of this matters because since appearance plays such a major role on the planet Earth in commerce and in life and in relationships and in families and in everything,
right?
It's a pivotal thing. And if you have an incorrect or unhealthy attitude towards it, an attitude towards it that does not serve you, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable about your looks and miserable about other people's looks and judging your looks and judging their looks. And you're going to be living inauthentically and you're going to be doing life wrong in the way that doesn't suit you. And you won't inherit much and you won't get much. And then if you finally find it the way that works for you, then you'll finally start feeling happy with yourself and authentic and healthy and expressing yourself. So your whole mental health hinges on this in a major way. Even the people who like pretend that looks don't matter or they're on earth to be builders and not care too much about looks, it still matters because looks matter to them in a partner or looks matter to them in a product or looks matter to them in a brand or looks matter to them in a car or something. And it's like, you really, really got to get a handle on this for yourself. You got to find your balance and your healthy, high value view on beauty and appearance. And most people just have one by default and you can hear it when they parrot it. You can tell this person has not thought this through and they're going to be miserable until they figure it out.
True. It's very, very true. Well, this was a really interesting conversation. I think that we could go like way longer. We're probably going to need a part 2. Because there are more things I wanted to touch on. And there are other angles about modesty too that we didn't even get near today. So I definitely would like to revisit this topic. I have changed my views on what it is from when we first met. And I thought it was more about what I didn't want people to perceive me as. I didn't want people to slut shame me and think whatever about me. Now, since you've taught me to love myself and care about myself and put my feelings first, now I'm okay if someone judges me over something I'm wearing. I was totally fine walking around Walmart while these women were giving me dirty looks. I just shrug it off because I am in love with the most amazing man, and their silly little man, I don't even know what they look like, could ever turn my head. So yeah, thank you so much for an amazing conversation and a great topic and some really, really great insights and amazing new perspectives that I know no one else is talking about. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you. Great questions.
And I also want to give a little shout out to Gia McCool on Twitter because the bikini model and her response to the bad bikini model was what inspired this whole topic and also helped me tie it into my own femininity and my own security issues too. So thank you, Gia. I think you are amazing. Even if I don't agree with all the things that you say and do, I appreciate you. And you too, because you, Jay, are amazing and wonderful.
Yay.
So do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes. Meditate on your beauty and appearance. It matters. Find your authentic beauty and appearance. It matters. Embody your authentic beauty and appearance at various times in various moments. It matters. Express your authentic beauty in ways that fulfill you. It matters. And if you ever need to fit in with a tribe, be very careful about repressing your beauty to do so. You got this.
And if you want to be around a tribe of non-judgmental people who love to show off their skills and their appearance, you are in the right place. Make sure that you subscribe or comment or whatever, because we want you to be a part of our community. If you are like us and you want to be friends with awesome people.
Yay.
Because that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. After today, you will know all about modesty and humbleness and why it matters and why you should care about it. So now you can go here and watch this video called How Valuable is Sexy in a World Full of Repressed Prudes, to help you feel sexier and understand sexiness and modesty better, and to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.